Celebrations all around here on Two Loose Cannons podcast. I'm Liam.
I'm Ross.
Big week, big day for you.
Well, yeah. Happy birthday to me, eh?
Yeah, happy birthday too. How old are you?
56.
56.
56 years young.
Brad man to disclose your age on the internet.
Cheers. It's only a number. I'm still like 12 years old in my mind. So,
Well, the AFL did the best thing this weekend and conspired to ensure that the Crows ended the round on top to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah,
It gives you the best way to start.
I said that during last week's podcast, didn't I? That, that Brisbane would do you a favour and beat Collingwood for you and you'd end up top. So then you went, we've got to beat Hawthorn first.
Well, yeah, it was a good game. And
Look, I was surprised actually because I'd actually thought you'd go out there and beat Hawthorn by 7 to 10 goals, and it was a good game. Yeah.
You overrate us more than our supporters do.
No, I just think you got something to prove. See, when teams have got something to prove, they come out every week, which is why I don't know if you'll be okay in the finals because I think you're playing at your best level, but that shows me you're not. That shows me that you've got room for improvement because that first quarter they came out the intensity of Hawthorn in that first quarter. But I always expected the response. That was the other thing. Because I said to my partner's a Crows supporter and she was a bit worried. I said, you'll be leading at half time, and you were. Yeah. So it was just one of those games where I think they came out with that really high intensity and you just weren't ready for it. But then once you did the adjustment.
Do you read anything into the fact that it was such a slog last weekend? I know that you guys...
Yeah, maybe. I thought it was pretty easy for you guys. It wasn't like it was a tough, hard fought battle.
But we played to the end.
That's right. You could have taken your foot off it.
Yeah. And given that they had 8 days, break compared and back-to-back 6 days, I thought if we were going to be sluggish, it would be the first quarter.
Yeah, and that's right. But I thought you'd come out hot and you might, maybe the second half, you'd slow down. I thought maybe that your legs might get a bit heavier in the second half. And it did look like that when Hawthorn came back at you, and I think they took the lead again. I thought, is it, that last quarter, are you going to be a bit, heavy in the legs because of the conditions the week before? But to your credit, you powered on and you just got over the line. Or was it 14 points?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, 14 points.
Two and a bit goals. So, yeah, that's a decent win.
Yeah.
Coming off like you said, very heavy conditions.
Yeah, because I'd love to see us off a good 7-day break versus a team 7-day break. We seem to have a lot. Because in 2 weeks' time, we play Collingwood, who have an 8-day break, and we're coming off a 6-day break and traveling, from Western Australia.
Yeah.
We've had that a lot this season. So, to their credit, top of the ladder, they're not making excuses. I spoke to someone at the club when I was in there, and they're not happy about it. But
look, and
just roll with the punches.
The fixture is always it's always heavily against the interstate clubs, and it always seems to favour the Victorian clubs. Now, I don't know whether that's because there's 10 of them.
Yeah.
So it always seems like they're the ones getting the decent breaks, and they're the ones getting the easier draws. We spoke about Geelong earlier, off camera, obviously, and how their run home is, and how we both thought they were better off having a harder run to the end of the season because that might toughen them up for the finals. Rather than just having this ease into the final situation.
Well, you think about it. If you're not being challenged, then you don't know where your weaknesses are.
Exactly.
You're having to scan through these games that you're killing oppositions and trying to analyze yourself so hard to find your own holes to correct.
Yeah, and look, they're a veteran team. I'd say they know exactly what they need to do.
I'm sure they do, and they're in a position where, given that the run home is so soft, that they can sort of rest any players that are sort of redlining or getting close to the edge.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, and all honesty, the way Collingwood are going, they could almost finish 5th to 6th now.
Yeah.
I mean, we went from 6 weeks ago, their supporters saying, hand us the trophy now. There's no one, they were 2.5 games ahead. No one was going to touch him. So now being 3rd, is it?
Yeah.
3rd, and possibly could be dropping out of the top 4 if because everyone seems to buzz on.
Talk about Collingwood after, because we're really going to dive into depth.
Yeah.
Because I think this is, we're not something to brush over. I think it's a good conversation.
Yeah. We got that on the agenda to talk about Collingwood.
Yeah. So, what did you think of Ginnivan's antics throughout the match?
He's such an immature player, but what is he, 20? We keep saying, he's only 19, he's only 20. Like last year he did the whole, we'll see you in Sydney thing and that, but it's the same as Bailey Smith in that. Like he's flipping people off it. These players have a different way of expressing themselves, and it is very impulsive.
Would you like what? Go on. No, yeah. I was just going to ask, would you want him on your team?
No, I don't think he's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, if you had asked me that 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But now I think he's just lost in that forward line. Like, he just doesn't seem to know his place. Whether it's because
would you be
what's
happy with
surrounding
a player behaving like him, like he does on field?
it's what he gives. See, I'd rather the Bailey Smith model where if he did things like that, it wouldn't bother me because he backs it up. I don't know that Ginnivan gives you enough to give you that many problems. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be a balance, you know. Butters goes out and snots guys and gets fined. He's the highest fined player in the history of the AFL, which I find, you know, and it's by a long way. This is not even close. But at least he gives you something. So he might be getting fined, and it's his money, you know, and he gives away the free kicks that go with the fines.
Yeah.
But you know what? He backs it up. I just don't know that you get that same input from Ginnivan.
What did he have? A couple goals and maybe
Look, he probably had a decent game. To be honest with you, he probably had a decent game. But I've watched a lot of Hawthorn's games this year where he's gone missing. He's been non-existent. So.
And that's the thing with him and Watson, because Watson was non-existent on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, they celebrate like crazy. But, you know,
I don't
set yourself up for failure.
I don't mind Watson because he backs it up most weeks. He does back it up. Ginnivan, I don't think he really gives you the upside.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Hawthorn do with him. Do they, you know, I mean, obviously they invested a lot in him. They backed him all last year when he did the Hobbs. We'll see you in Sydney, and then there was the Ken incident in the finals where they were doing the aeroplane, and you know. So I don't know. At the end of the day, it's Hawthorn's problem, and they'll keep him on. I'm sure.
Yeah. So you were heading towards a question.
Well, did you see the incident at the airport between the Channel 7 reporter and Ginnivan?
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, you was, you know, like you're sooking it up, or you were sook for, you know, flipping the bird." And he basically went, "Why would I even speak to you?" And the question I had posed to me from Jim was, "Who was in the wrong?" Now, I don't know what you think, but I think they're both in the wrong. I think it was a stupid question, and I think his response was just childish.
So, afternoons with Lee Forrest, I just happened to be driving around and actually asked Eddie McGuire. I had Eddie McGuire on the show.
Okay.
And I thought he answered it absolutely perfect. So, and it goes with how I would answer it. So I'm going to roll out what he said. And that is, what do you call it? It's the network's fault. And it's also Ginnivan's fault. So they both brought on each other's fault. But the network could have sent out, and this is what he said, sports.
Yeah.
They've sent out someone who, and McGuire said he watched the 7 News Adelaide broadcast.
Yeah.
She had one other story that night, and it was standing outside a courtroom. So they sent a courtroom reporter.
That's right. So,
and that was what you'd expect, someone coming out of a courtroom, and you just get that microphone shoved in your face and those questions asked.
Yeah.
So he definitely wasn't prepared for that.
No, he wasn't. And again, I find that's just a stupid question to ask anyway. You know,
I loved it though, because you know what, you deserve it. You put it on yourself.
At the end of the day, I don't care
because
I got no interest in either one. But I just thought it was it's a non-story that's been made into a huge story because of the question and because of his response.
So was he sucking it up?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just him. You know, I mean, look, I don't know how many you've played a few games in your life. How many times have you flipped the bird to the opposition?
I haven't played in front of an audience,
but that was just.
Yeah.
Well, that was happening weekly when I was playing.
Yeah.
Amateurs. So, excuse me. I still think it's an honour, man. But we understand the optics are not good to see stars of the game, and I sort of put Ginnivan in, I guess, in that. He has got a name and people recognise him. So it is, and the same with Bailey Smith, and the same when we look at Harley Reid, and they're sooking it up and they're doing the whole flipping the birds or going at supporters. I think if you're going to toss supporters out for interacting with players, there has to be something that goes the other way. So if players are interacting and inciting supporters, then there has to be a penalty there too. You can't just be inciting supporters and expect these guys, because it's a passionate game, and you had a bit of the drink and a bit of a punt into it, and we see what's happening. You have people in the car park at the MCG saying, "I'm waiting for him to come. I'm going to take care of this for you, Melbourne supporters. Don't worry about it." Things like that, and then you have, other people sending death threats to other coaches. So
Do you know what I love? I love the fact that it keeps happening at Adelaide Oval. It tells me something. Again, our supporters are getting under players' skin, so you guys need to get lift your game a bit. How many birds have you received this year?
I know I've given a few. I'm not sure how many I've received back, but I know I've given a few.
Now, I don't know how close you are sitting to the...
I'm on that southern stand, like right up top.
I was going to say, you can lead the charge. There's still time for you to catch us.
But, you know, I'm more of a screaming at the umpires than screaming at opposition players. Like, I just, you know my views on umpiring. I get so frustrated that
But you
most of the stuff that comes out of my mouth.
You'll get a reaction out of a player, though.
You will.
Yeah.
But players are players. You play the game. Go out there. You got to respect them. We've been on, if you've got on the field, you know that you need that. It's a competitive game, and you respect your opponents.
But there's one team that, again, I would have had circled in my diary. What's one?
Yeah.
Get under their skins because of the type of players.
That's right. You can. And
why not get under their skins?
You can get under skins. You can get under Sicily. Yep. Yeah. So they do have that 3 or 4 guys that I think you can get to.
You can bust them.
But we're the same, though. You know that you can get to Hawthorne. You know you can get to Butters. You know that, you know. So,
but you guys don't flip us the bird.
Yeah, look, I think... Look, you saw the interaction when, what's his name, did your turd of a player, what's his name? I can't think of his name. He's not been on the field anymore. Did the whole toothless thing.
Oh, Rochelle.
Yeah, it was Shelley. I went blank there for a second. We saw the response there. I mean, that was crowd interaction. And what happened there? He gets sat down the week after, and they say, no, it's got nothing to do with that. Of course, it had everything to do with that. At the end of the day, what he did spurred that team on for that win.
It did.
So, you know, and that's the thing you don't want. What Ginnivan did spurred in that final, spurred Port on to just lift to that next level.
Yeah.
And say, no way, you're going to sit here. So, you know, I mean, and that's what you don't, as a team, because it's a team sport. It's not an individual sport. As a team sport, you don't want to be putting the teams... You don't want to be putting yourself ahead of the team, and that's what he seems to do every time.
But I'll tell you what, with that Channel 7 reporter going to the airport, I said this in the message. How much better is Adelaide when the Crows are up and about? Grass smells better, the air smells cleaner.
It stinks.
And the sun just seems to have a little bit more...
Is that why it absolutely bucketed down today? It stinks if you're on the other side.
Yeah, I know.
Just like it does for you guys when we're up and about.
But so you don't get this sort of reaction when you guys are up and about. We know
you just don't take any notice.
No.
And that's because the Adelaide media is biased, and you know that for a fact.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So look, it's not a fair contest at all. But anyway, look, you guys played well. Ginnivan deserves whatever whack he gets. Don't send court reporters that interview sports people.
But what are Channel 7 doing? They're the rights holder of the game. You'd think that would actually
I'd like to know
the game a bit.
Well, I'd like to know where the sports reporters were. They weren't at the airport.
Well, it was interesting because Eddie McGuire said that they probably refused. They probably refused to go. They get first right of reply.
Yeah.
He said the only thing that he could think about was they probably refused. That's why they've gone, okay, well, we know she'll go.
She'll do it. Yeah.
She's used to doorstop.
Well, that surprises me that they have a right to say no. I'm not going to do that.
I couldn't believe that either. Like it's a sports story.
That's right.
Get out and do your job.
And if you actually sent a sports reporter, perhaps he asks the appropriate question that gets a response from that says, "Hey, you know what?
You know what they would do? They'd gently ease into that and then throw it out, and then he walks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, we know because we've seen enough press conferences in our day to know that when they speak to the coaches, when they speak to players, it's a passionate game.
Yeah.
We've seen how Bevo's gone off. We've seen how Ross Lyon goes off. We've seen how Ken's gone off a couple of times. You know, Clarko, Dimmer, all these guys at press conferences, and they, lose that because the question gets asked. And the reporter knows they're poking the bear. So, perhaps we get the same response this time, even if it is a sports reporter.
Yeah, no doubt. So enough about the Crows. Where do you see the Hawks going, though? Because they've got a really tough run home.
They've got a tough run home, but you know what? That game, what was it? Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
Showed me that if they can play at their best, they'll be dangerous.
The only thing
that's the problem.
As we've said for numerous seasons,
That's right.
He's gone.
He's gone again. Yeah, you're right.
And so
Yeah.
I watched that game and watched what he did for them. Now, it's not just what he does with ball in hand. Defensively, he did some pretty damn impressive things that ended up resulting in goals. And they can't afford to lose something.
No, they can't.
You're right.
But it looks like they may get him back the first week of finals.
If they get there, that's the thing.
They may get. And it's a may.
Yeah.
It's not a definite. It's a may.
Yeah.
And you're right. If they get,
because the projections that were coming out today from I think Fox Footy is they've got him finishing right.
Yeah. Well, that's on the run home. You're right. But I think if they can play like that, the rest of the what is it? 3 games left? 4 games left?
3 games. Yeah.
3 games left. Yeah. That they probably hang in there to get 7th or 8th. Maybe 6 if they're good enough.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that later in the show because that's your final shot.
Yeah.
But they are good enough to knock off the best sides.
Yeah.
So going back, because we just briefly touched on it before, there was a question that come through about Geelong. Actually, a couple. There was a few concerns, and you sort of brushed on it about the soft draw home.
Yeah.
But they also wanted to know, what did you see from your end? What Geelong against Port this weekend? Did you see anything that would actually threaten a top 8 side?
That second half was what I expected to see for 4 quarters. That first half was a bit of us not wanting to get blown out of the water and a bit of them not expecting that higher intensity given who was in and out of that team. But once they readjusted at halftime, I saw exactly what I thought I should have got from Geelong for 4 quarters was that. And I said to you last week,
so what were they lacking?
Well, I think they were just thinking they were just going to walk and just walk up. Yeah, it was just effort in that first quarter. They were cruising. You could see they were cruising.
Yeah,
and there was a little bit of like there was against you guys in that first quarter last week. There was that intensity in the game. Like there was that. Let's not get blown away here, boys. And when I saw the halftime score, or when we got to halftime, and I thought, well, I'm expecting them to come out, and because we're diabolical in the second half. The second half's this year terrible. So I was still expecting there to be a 10 to 12 goal loss. It ends up being a 15.
Yeah.
So that's what I expected for the whole game. So there was nothing there that I sort of looked at and thought, was surprised at that. No, not at all. Stewart taking out Wines. I mean, look, we could debate whether that is reportable or not. I don't know. He's in the air. He's got control of his body. There's nothing he can do once he's left the ground. But we do see players go for that because they say, well, like you chose to
leave the ground.
Now he gets a fine in the end. That's probably more because Wines is okay and there's nothing to see. Yeah. If Wines had been concussed, I'm sure he.
Oh yeah, because then that changes the hierarchy and what they judge. Again, we spoke about the hierarchy. It's just broken.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't think the soft draw is going to help him in any way. Not get him ready for finals at least. Not at all.
Particularly, you think about it. Soft bye.
Yeah.
Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck replicating that on the bye weekend.
So I'd like to know who does the draw because this is, from my recollection, at least 2 years in a row. Could be more than that. They've had a really soft draw on the way home. So I'd like to know who actually does the scheduling for the games.
Yeah.
Because,
see, everyone has a lot of
hate as someone who finishes in the top 4.
Yeah,
last year gets such a soft right.
I've seen the fans' argument, and I haven't really looked into it that closely, but apparently they had a very rough, tough first 10 games of the season. And so now they've got over that, and this is just the soft.
So 10 games, the first 10 they were rough and tough. So then it's 14 or 13, it's easy, soft.
Yeah,
that makes no sense to me because they were a top 4 side last year.
But neither does their salary cap. I would love to go over.
Well, that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah, different thing altogether. But there's an unspoken bias about how Geelong are treated.
Well, look,
and you're touching on it now with the draw.
Yeah, look, there's that third party things that we know about.
Yeah,
how they got fined by the AFL because of the Bailey Smith deal with what is it, Cotton On?
Yeah.
So we know that there's probably some deals going on there. Apparently, for everything I've heard from players who play, they all reckon it's a great place to work.
I'm sure it is.
A great place to live.
It's also got a lot of high-profile support in the AFL media.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of commentators that are Geelong guys.
You're right.
Well, they are Geelong supporters.
Yeah.
But you've also got journalists, and no bigger than Hutchie. Yeah. Who's a Cat supporter.
Yeah.
And, it was documented last week. I think it was in the Herald Sun about how he still is a powerful figure within the AFL.
Yeah.
His sporting network.
Yeah.
So, yes, Geelong, we're sort of, I've taken it away from the soft draw home. But, yeah.
Well, look, and I get it. I don't know that helps them at all, the soft draw home. Because that doesn't prepare you for finals, soft draws.
No, it doesn't. But I tell you what, again, I'm getting bitter here. There's two sides that I love beating the most, and it's not Port Phillip.
Yeah, it's not Geelong
and
Hawthorn.
Yeah, there you go.
I know.
Is that how you feel?
I know how you feel.
I mean, you love a showdown, we.
Well, it's probably for me. It's 3. And I chuck Collingwood in there.
Collingwood as well. Okay.
Yeah, Collingwood. I hate Collingwood.
Yeah, I don't.
You know,
I mean, they are everything.
because of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, they stand for Victorian arrogance.
Yeah.
But to their credit, and this is where I think I give them a little bit more of a pass, is when they do travel, and it's not often.
Yeah,
but they generally win.
Yeah, and look, I don't. I'm not saying I don't admire them as a club, but what they've achieved. They're just a team. After. Yeah, it's how they're looked after, and they're just a team that I'd love to beat. We can't beat them, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times in a row.
You're talking to a supporter who hasn't won for like nearly 2017. So
I mean, but they're another team. Geelong, Hawthorn, and Collingwood are my 3, aside from you guys.
Yeah. The
So which brings us to the Collingwood.
Yeah,
are they cooked? A question from Rhino wants to know: do you think Collingwood are cooked?
I think so, but again, I do expect that they'll stiffen up. But
yeah,
we spoke about this off camera, so we'll bring the viewers in. Earlier this season, they didn't really kill opposition sides that heavily. They beat you guys, and I think
that was after they lost.
Yeah,
opening round.
That was more of a mental aspect rather than. Yeah.
So
I don't think they're that good a side. They chalked up some good wins. They have a great record in tight games.
Yeah,
and they will keep games tight.
Yeah,
but I think they tried to do that to Brisbane.
Yeah,
if you're a side that can score and score heavily, then you can sort of have your moment.
You can put it on them.
Yeah, and that's all you need is one moment against Collingwood, and you can blow the game out.
Yeah,
because I don't think Collingwood have it in them. To do the same.
I think they rely too much on too few.
Yeah, that's
if the Stars don't fire, then they don't fire.
Yeah, because I think,
but I admire them because going back when they won it in 23, they were a very well balanced team.
Yeah,
that was the one thing that got them over the line.
Yeah,
but now they look like there's 2 levels. There's the top 8.
Yeah,
there's their top 8 which are elite, and then there's the bottom 10 which aren't. So,
and the defense does get louder. And I heard McRae saying his post-match about how their defense is still the best defense in the league. But Darcy Moore has been touted up a few times, and that's got to be a worry for them.
And that was something. I'll give Kane Corn credit. Kane Corn said he's not good one-on-one.
No,
he's good as the third up.
Oh, what's his name? I should have done my research. Was it Logan Morris?
Yep.
6 goals.
Yeah,
and he could have kicked 7 or 8.
Yeah, Logan Morris. Yeah, you're right. Could have kicked 7 or 8. Maynard's finding it tougher now. Houston's not working.
Yes,
he's not the player he was at Port. Because they don't need him to be that player. At Port, he was the running carrier. He was the guy who delivered it into the forward line. They don't need him to run the wings, Collingwood. They have already got elite players doing that. He just needs to get it to those players, and then they'll do that. So he's a fish out of water at the moment. He's not playing his usual game. And you could see it's hurting him. And when he actually does play that game where he runs and carries the ball up the wing and kicks it and it delivers it into the forward line, he looks great.
What's he like as a defender though?
He's the crummer who, as a defender, he's not a lockdown.
No, he's an interceptor.
He's an interceptor, and once he gets the ball, he's got pace and he's got elite kicking skills.
Yeah.
And that's where he.
So they're pretty much treating him like a magnet now, rather than like you said, a key player.
That's right. So he now he's got his man, and he needs to stay with that man, and he pretty much can maybe go to the center, and that's about it. But he can't. They don't want him going beyond the center. They want him delivering that ball to one of the guys running down, whether it's one of the day costers or, some of the other guys and just giving it to them, and then they're the ones taking it from down and delivering.
Yeah.
So he is definitely not playing the role that he's accustomed to at Port. Now, whether he can adjust to that or not, time will tell.
So when the Crows played Collingwood at the MCG, I noticed the role that Josh Dacos played. Now that is the role that Houston played at Port.
That's right.
But I don't think that Houston could have played it any better than Josh Dacos. So the question that I got, which you've answered it superbly, was what is the difference between Houston at Port Adelaide and Houston at Collingwood? And how do you get Houston at Collingwood to be Houston at Port Adelaide?
You can't, because you've already got those players. Like you said, you just brought it up, Josh Dacos.
Yeah, because you can only really have one guy that's that plays that quarterback role off the halfback flank.
So they're wanting Houston at, what is he? Maybe 6'2"? Yeah. 6'1", 6'2". They want him to stay on the forward, man up, be defensive.
Yeah.
Just deliver that ball down the wing and just basically stay in the back line. Now that's not what he's accustomed to.
No.
So,
and the way, oh God, and I hate to bring it back to Adelaide, but I am going to bring it back to Adelaide. So our pieces in the back, particularly halfback flank, it works absolutely perfectly because there's not one guy that is the guy that brings it out. You know, you've got several guys that can play that role.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and it's not always, Collingwood are much the same the way they operate in the back half. That they all just play a little role. And it's not one guy like a Dacos at Houston. But it I guess it does depend how they set up against any given opponent.
You're right. And when they got him, they said he was the cream on top.
Yeah.
So he was virtually what they've said is a piece we don't need.
Yeah.
But he helps us.
Yeah, because he's a good kicker.
So that's right. So again, that tells me everything you need to know about how they were going to use it, because they didn't really need him. They already had those players in place. So he was just going to be that guy who was a lick kick, would clean it up. You know, you could
Couldn't have got that at a cheaper price for Kane Farrell?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely would have got that at a cheaper price for Kane Farrell. And he can play that role.
Yeah.
Of staying back and locking down.
Yeah.
So Kane doesn't have to run the wing.
No.
So you're right. They could have got Kane Farrell and probably paid a couple of $100,000 less.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't really want to hammer you for this because I thought you were bang on early in the season about Brodie Grundy, but do you think now Brodie Grundy has redeemed himself and actually gone to another level, even above where he was at Collingwood?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say he's at the same level as what he was at Collingwood. Yeah. I'm not sure he's gone above it. But I watched that game and he was absolutely elite. Well, he was back to the old Grundy. So I don't know whether he was carrying something early in the season or whether he just had a interrupted pre-season or he was fitting in with the way that Dean Cox wanted to play and it sort of threw him out a bit. But he's definitely back to some good form. I'd put him in the top 3 or 4 ruckman on current form at this level at the moment. And his last 6 weeks have been almost elite. So
what an incredible game. That was a 39 disposals.
39, yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, he was good. He was very good. So, somewhat redemption, yes. Probably justified earlier in the season. He wasn't playing well, and I think I made the statement, I'm glad we didn't end up with him.
Yeah.
But he's definitely redeemed himself.
Yeah. And that's why I wouldn't go too hard on you at that, because I saw the same. I didn't think that he was a shadow of himself earlier in the season. But yeah.
I don't know whether those Melbourne, was it 1 year at Melbourne? I don't know whether that damaged him in any way.
It probably did, his confidence.
But then he goes to Sydney last year and he didn't dominate. He was handy, but he didn't dominate the way that you'd expect.
Look, everyone's humans. We're all different. And sometimes moving city to city, it could sometimes, mess with your head a bit.
Yeah.
What was he? Adelaide to Melbourne, Melbourne to then Sydney. And it's a huge lifestyle change. So
Collingwood. Yeah.
You got to get your head around that. And being pampered at Collingwood.
Yeah, that's right. Collingwood,
even to a degree at Melbourne. Because Melbourne were in pretty good nick.
Well, they were. And that was always there was just no understanding of why you would get Grundy when you have Gawn.
Yeah.
Like, and especially, but you know what? He came at a bargain because Collingwood needed to offload him.
Yeah.
And they were paying 700 of his, whatever it was, 1.1. So if you're getting Brody Grundy for 400 grand,
Take what you get.
you grab it, mate. Absolutely. So I don't blame Melbourne for grabbing him at those dollars.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. And in fact, if anything, it damaged him. It damaged his brand because couldn't even get on the field because, you know, Maxi wasn't injured and he was still playing at a very high level.
Yeah, and they actually tried to make
They did, and it didn't work.
And yeah, it didn't matter if they played it more forward or more in the ruck.
It didn't work because he's purely an 85 to 90% ruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that. You know, he doesn't have. I don't think he's good enough to play as a key forward.
Yeah.
Nimble, mobile around the ground, but just doesn't have that craft.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. All right. So here we go again.
Yeah. The question that keeps getting asked every week by you guys. What is it?
It's Tilthorpe or Darcy. Who are you taking? Now, this is driven by the big media.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody's Darcy.
Yeah.
Now, what did Mitchell say on the weekend about Tilthorpe?
Yeah, so in his post-match, he said that, you know, he was happy with the Brass matchup with Tilthorpe because that was his ideal. He thinks the ideal matchup for someone of Tilthorpe's quality. He backs Brass against any key forward in the game, and sometimes you just get beaten by a better player.
Yeah.
He said that how he defended him was brilliant. Still kicked 4 goals on him and ended up with 9 marks on him. So he tipped the lid. And said, yeah, well played, Tilthorpe.
Yep.
But I know why this question's come up because we didn't really answer it last week. It was so on the couch a couple of weeks ago. They had what's that old fart?
Sheehan,
yeah, Sheehan and old mate Matthews on the couch. And Sheehan said that Darcy was a far better player than Tilthorpe. Yeah. I don't know what grass he's smoking. I don't know what he's taken. But that is completely far off the mark because the results in itself show week to week that Tilthorpe is the better player.
Well, look, I still stand by what I said. If you're taking Tilthorpe, I'm happy to have Darcy, and if you're taking Darcy, I'm happy to have Tilthorpe.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be bothered with either. I think they're at such a similar level that I wouldn't bother me having either of them. But if you're asking me today, as I said last time, I take Tilthorpe.
Well, see, why I'm saying Tilthorpe is simply because his running capacity is first of all one of the best at the club. So that I can, as a coach, go, okay, well, he can play centre half forward, he can play full forward, he can play the ruck. You know, whereas I've watched Darcy play, and it's very much, you know, don't come any further than 75 metres away from goal while you're playing key forward. And when you ruck, you do your ruck thing.
But is that a coaching thing? Is that a game plan? Is that a team thing?
Maybe
is he not given license? I'm sure Tilthorpe's given license to go where he needs to go, wherever the ball is.
See, I would like to see Tilthorpe a little bit further up the ground.
Yeah,
at times.
Yeah,
but I don't.
But is that because Fogarty and Walker again?
Yeah.
So it's Tilthorpe has to stay back.
But I would be comfortable with Tilthorpe coming up the ground because of his capacity to run back. Whereas both Fog and Walker, I'm like, okay, well, you know, they might not want to get back.
See, Walker, I'm starting to think is a liability for you guys. I've watched his
watch his game on the weekend last.
I've watched his last.
Pretty grief. You're saying that after a really good game from him.
Yeah, but still, man, he still makes so many such
mistakes. Okay, in that last quarter, it was basically off the back of Rankin and Walker.
He had a good one this weekend, but he some of his games, and I said to you in that Collingwood loss, he cost you that game. You know, like, anyway, that's another matter altogether. I think you could do better. I don't know why he's in that side. I think he doesn't give you enough to warrant it. I'd rather see Sus smaller forward playing that role than him.
Let's start come up on the weekend. He's kicked multiple goals the last
And look, the guy's a legend.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Earlier this season, though, he was struggling to find.
I just don't know whether they're trying to get him to 300.
I don't think so. I think
I'm not sure what's going on.
He is producing now. He is producing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm happy for you to, if you think he's worth it. I just don't.
If I see a game where it's not working, we'll call it out.
Yeah. And you have. You've called it out a couple of times. You've said to me.
But it has been working. And until we see what it's like on first week of the finals, I can't. Yeah. I'm comfortable with it to continue. And
So, bottom line is, you'll take Tilthorpe over Darcy.
I will.
I personally don't care. I'll take either. But if I'm putting my team together today, I want Tilthorpe. As today, if I'm looking at the future, I would probably head towards Darcy because he's 2-3 years younger.
I think he's only about a year younger.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's a year. Well,
What I see from
and
Darcy,
hasn't had a major knee.
yeah,
So
is his ability above his head. He seems to
It's
have
massive.
long arms.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that he has, and he builds his game off
Yeah.
of that.
and you don't get shorter as
No.
the game gets.
No.
But he's a beast, Tilthorpe. He's an absolute beast. Like, he'll give you every ounce, every bit of energy.
And he is an insane trainer. They've had to hold him back because he's a threat to himself.
Yeah.
All right. We've just talked about some big boys. Let's talk about some big girls.
Mm.
The AFLW season starts very soon. Is it 10 days? Or
10
something?
days, yeah, from what I heard. 10 days away.
You've been keeping your eye on the
I've glanced the
Pre-season
eye
games?
over the preseason games, yes. We finally got a win over the Crows, which was, even if it's a preseason game, doesn't matter. Take it. Take it. That's a showdown win for us. So what does that bring us? There's only one difference now. I'm kidding. Yeah, look, it'll be interesting because I think we're on the way up
yes, agreed.
on the back of our prelim, and they look good. They do look good. And I think you guys are
On the way up.
maybe, I don't know if you're on the way down, but maybe you're just petering out.
Yeah,
You're just,
The
you,
last
you, might,
few
you might make
years-
the finals. We might make the 8.
You know, when you have
But-
those years where you've suffered with your men's team, where you're just there and you're wanting to take that next step and you can't.
Yeah.
I think mentally that starts to break you eventually because you feel like you're that close and you just can't quite get there. And I feel like we're teetering at that, and this could be the year that it caves a bit.
Yeah, definitely. But I think Doc's too good a coach. And I think there'll be enough, excuse me, there'll be enough teams below you that you should be able to at least sneak into finals. Whether you'll have an impact, that'll be,
Come down injuries.
come down to injuries, exactly. So, but yeah, I honestly think that we're looking good.
Yeah.
I feel like we're definitely on the way.
I did see North Melbourne's side. What was it, 93 to
93 to
15 or something?
That's huge. So they're going to be going back to back, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Might think they could be peaking too soon.
well,
Let's hope for the rest of the competition they are.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. Yeah, 10 days, mate. Get excited.
Who's your favourite AFLW player?
Forget about all time or just current.
Now, now. Because I know you'll say Aaron Phillips.
Yeah, of course. I have to say Gemma Howe for us.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a beast. She gets out there and she just gives it everything, mate. I like the way she goes about it. So for us, Gemma Howe.
Yeah, excellent. Well, bring it on. They'll be competing for airtime against Adelaide United.
Yep.
Adelaide United, what is going on there?
Well, look, I think what they've become is a feeder club now. I just think they've seen the dollar signs that come from developing and selling players off. So I think that's what they've become.
Yeah. But look, there's nothing wrong with being a feeder club. And, it particularly in the A-League, because you've got to make money. And we're not a powerhouse club backed by big rich owners like Melbourne City are.
Yeah.
So you've got to find an income.
Yeah.
But it's twofold.
There has to be a balance.
Yeah, exactly. You still want to sell tickets at the game. You want fans in. You want people buying merch because there's money from that.
Yeah.
But also those players that we're developing, you need older, experienced players to, help develop the players.
That's right.
Putting a bunch of kids out, hoping that they're going to develop just as they are.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous avenue.
You're right. And if the older players are leaving because they can see that the club's going nowhere, like Moy.
Yeah.
That leaves you very vulnerable. I agree with you totally. Look, they were looking good. Like they were sitting first, second for most of last year until that last, whatever it was, 6-7 weeks, where they virtually sold the farm, got their cash in, and then we just dived. And it cost Carl his job, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
So at the end of the day, I don't know how you blame the bloke when you've sold off all the talent, but somehow they thought, well, he's not going to he's not in the forward plan. And
yeah, I don't know. It's funny when you get a new football director in, new management, new owners. It's sort of like, well, we need to make change. He's not our guy.
So,
Let's have someone that's our guy.
But what's the point of having your guy in there if all you're going to do is develop players and then sell them off?
The interesting thing is, Carl was a very, very he wasn't very outstanding person at developing young talent. He come through the pathway.
That's right, he was. Yep.
And we're bringing one guy in developing talent to bring in another guy that's come through the pathway.
Same system. Yep.
And then Carl's going off to Subway under 17 Socceroos.
That's right. Yep.
Again, they'll be beneficiaries of a very good.
That's fair. They will. And you know what? You bring Goodwin back, and so everybody's up and about. You can get commercials out there to say, "Hey, I'm back.
Yeah,
I know this city. I know this team. I've played for the." You show the championship that he played in. So you get everybody up and about, and then you go and do this, and your players are leaving and opting out because they can see the writing on the wall that this team's going to go nowhere. So I just don't get it. But I don't think you or I believe that they're genuinely chasing a championship.
No, they're not. They're not. But again, that's dangerous because you look at the AFL, look at what's happened at the Kangaroos. Like Kangaroos, Crows, similar time that they've gone into rebuild.
Mm.
Who would you say is developing talent quicker?
Well, of course you guys are.
Because we're winning.
That's right.
When you start winning and you start having players that you bring players in to help to build, then you've done them along.
You've done it the right way though. You've put in you look at that side and the names are not when they first came in, you were thinking, who's this bloke? Whereas you look at the North Melbourne list and you knew these because these kids were being played at the lower levels and they were coming through and you can see the talent. You guys have brought in players that are good for that team and good for your system. That's why you're successful. And you've got,
and I understand.
I don't think North, the reserves team are,
last as well.
Exactly. So,
but all sports are the same. If you've got a culture that is driving to win, the development comes, and that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Adelaide United can put all their eggs into development basket, and yes, they absolutely should. But you still got to get a couple of pieces in there to help drive the development.
Absolutely.
Because you have a look at the players that have departed. They've had some great people around them. They've had Isaiah, Yavi Lopez. Just to name a couple. Ibasuki a couple of seasons ago had fantastic players
you're spot on.
That they could learn off of.
Yep.
What are they doing? They're hoping that Craig Goodwin's going to mentor 21 players.
Look, again, what was the point of doing the hype, bringing him back and doing the hype and doing the
making it seem like
make it seem like we're coming, and then basically saying, what, guys, we're just going to develop. And
do you know what? That's almost Carlton territory. We're coming.
Well, look, I don't know if you saw any of the Newcastle game on the weekend.
No, I didn't see it, but
it was competitive.
Yeah.
But, 3-2 in the end, same problems. Defensively, they broke down.
Yeah.
So, look, if they can get it right, maybe, I don't know, maybe they can scrape in like they did last year. They just got in there. But they lost the first week.
It's early days. It's a long
pre-season. But I wouldn't be putting money on Adelaide.
No.
Playing in the championship game, that's for sure.
No. I'd probably at this stage have them missing the finals. Yeah, because they have to add some more players, and not just
that's right. They need to. And I'll tell you one team I would be putting money on to make the championship go.
Who's that?
And that's the hottest ticket in town, I reckon, will be the 36ers.
I'm with you on that.
That's the only thing that's going to hurt Adelaide United. Also,
but I'll tell you what,
dollar only goes so far. Right?
Yeah,
if everybody's watching the 36ers.
The league itself as well, it's must watch this year. Javon McGee, signing with Illawarra Hawks yesterday.
Yep.
Wasn't the day before.
Day before.
So and Brisbane's stacking their team pretty damn well. So again, teams that weren't even in contention for finals are really stacking hard on. And then you'll have
there's going to be a
Sydney's, your Melbourne's, Perth is starting to shape up nicely too.
So it's going to be a very, very interesting season.
Yeah, look, if you're getting a ticket to the Adelaide 36ers or you manage to acquire a ticket for 36ers, that thing is gold this summer. Absolute gold.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be watching.
So definitely the hottest ticket in town. Is there any sporting team that could compete? maybe strikers.
Maybe strikers,
they're up-
depending on, if they're up and about. Look, the 2020 game is such a fickle game in itself. If you can get on a roll, you only need a couple of batsmen to get on a roll, and they can just absolutely destroy sides. You only need a bowler to get on a roll, and he can end up taking 20, 25 wickets season and be the chief destroyer. So it's one of those games where it can be an unknown. It could be someone who just comes from nowhere, who you're not expecting to actually just take the game on and just absolutely.
But you know what worries me this season about the strikers is the batting talent. We've invested super heavily into bowlers. We've got 3 international, an all-rounder, bowling all-rounder, and 2 bowlers. Yeah. Fantastic, because our bowling was crap. But we've lost Weatherall. Weatherall's gone. Chris Lynn at this stage doesn't have a contract. No. It's very, very thin. So we've brought in Mackenzie Harvey, who has struggled for the Melbourne Renegades. Yep. And we've brought across Jason Sanger, who, first class wise, is doing an absolute brilliant job. And hopefully he can kick that onto T20 form. Yeah. But there's no real gun. Yeah.
No, you are
fast scoring talent.
Well, we need Fraser McGurk, don't we?
Yeah, he's not coming home, mate. But again, his Big Bash season last year was
terrible. Yeah, even his IPL.
You bring back a couple of years ago, Jade Fraser McGurk. Absolutely.
We'll get Head to play.
Well, he doesn't have a contract yet.
He doesn't have a contract.
Yeah. And again, I reckon after the Ashes, he'll probably want to rest.
Yeah, of course he will. And that's been the trend over the summer, the Australian summer, is that he doesn't play the 2020.
But the great South Australian, the best South Australian player at the moment, Alex Carey, has a contract.
That's right, he does. Because he sits behind the stumps and does nothing all day.
Oh, mate, it's a backbreaking job, mate. It's a backbreaking job. What it is, it comes down to mentality. That's cross-supported mentality.
I've got it.
Wanting to represent the state and do this state
running around anywhere. I'll just stand here, pair of gloves on, let everybody else get right in. Save my energy. I'm fresh.
He's opening the batting and keeping for 20 overs. That bloke can't do any more. All right, final shot time.
Go on.
All right, so I'm going to go with something to shake the finals up. I reckon that everybody is overlooking what Melbourne could potentially do in the Bulldogs.
Yep, at the MCG.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. MCG, I don't think the Bulldogs, if they've played at the MCG, it's only been one game. Because I can't remember any of that. So this is a real danger game. And Melbourne, they perform better against the better sides. Mm-hmm. So this is a real danger game for the Bulldogs. Yeah. I think everyone's putting Bulldogs down as a certainty.
I agree with you. And I also think because of what happened a couple of weeks back and the fact that we both agreed that Goodwin probably would have been sacked after that St Kilda game, had it not been for the threats, that they now know they need to play this season out or good.
Yeah, they do. They do. And they weren't bad on the weekend.
Yeah, they weren't bad on the weekend.
Just couldn't get it done.
I've gone out on the limb, and although Will Day's out, and I think that hurts the Hawks, I've still gone the Hawks to beat Collingwood, I think. Yeah. If they can bring that same intensity they brought against Adelaide, I think they can deal with Collingwood. And, we could see Collingwood go from their supporters thinking that they should have the cup in the middle of June to, possibly falling to 5th or 6th.
Oh, wouldn't it be so great to see them get knocked out?
Well,
I would love
comes down to this game and your game against them.
I would love to see them fall to 5 and get knocked out first.
Well, it's possible if they lose to Hawthorn and then they lose to you guys, which is a possibility, losing to you guys. They could possibly fall to 5th or 6th.
Yeah, and you talk about things to prove. I know that's one that gets up their grill is they have to be Collingwood. They know it has to change, and what better place than to do it at home?
Well, that's right, and have a soft Collingwood at the moment because they're not playing all that well.
Yeah, and Collingwood's only 1 or 2 injuries away from really just falling in a heap. So it depends who those injuries go to. If it's Nick Dacos.
Yeah, that's right. They're in big trouble.
Even a Josh Dacos. I think he's become super critical to them. He's just so flexible. All right, you can close us out now.
Well, what's the difference between a snowman and a snow woman?
I hate to ask.
Snowballs. Thank you, Danielle. Good night.